All right, everyone. Welcome to another Learneezee cast, episode 9. Hello, Rico. How's life in Denver, Colorado?
Doing as well as I think I can be, Pat. Given all that's happened 2020, we finally gotten to the end of the year, to the holiday season, just celebrating Christmas,
Yeah,
getting
Christmas
ready
time.
for New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. And it's definitely been a very different feel than normal.
Yeah, and we got a early Christmas present in a way. Uh, is it the same for you? I guess in the news, we've gotten news that the vaccine for the coronavirus is going to be distributed and is already on its way in parts of the world. And it's arrived at least here in Germany, and the first patients have gotten it already. Is it the same for you in Denver and generally in the U.S.?
Yeah, I can't speak to specifically in Denver. I mean, I just hear on the news, I think today that over 2 million people have been vaccinated, or at least the first dose. I know it's a two step vaccine. You have to go get the first vaccine shot, and then the second, I think, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks later, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
I've heard that, or even maybe even earlier than that, maybe a couple weeks later, so that you
Okay.
can get it. Because
But
I just heard something from my girlfriend, Uli, and she had to get her parents who are both over 80 uh,
oh,
scheduled to be vaccinated, and it was really interesting to hear that um, they would be they'd have to get on to a schedule, not from their own personal doctor, but another official government entity that is setting up an online scheduling system to record all the people's names that want to get vaccinated early, and you have to meet certain requirements in terms of age requirements and medical history and so on. Yeah.
well, it sounds like there's a real concerted effort and a real rollout plan. I don't know that that same level of detail or systematic approach is in play here in the United States. But overall, I just want to say I think it's just really enlightening for me, and just on a hopeful note, to know that it's finally arrived. I know there are others that are in the works of being able to be approved to then be able to be used as vaccines as well. But it's definitely not been the holiday special season that you would normally expect. But
Yeah.
nonetheless, it's here, and I'm just trying to enjoy it while we're in the season.
Yeah, talking about what's on our mind, did anything change for you this holiday season? I mean, I'm sure a lot has changed because of COVID-19, but were you able to socially distance with your relatives and so on? Did you have to make some tough choices about who you could visit and who you couldn't?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is really tough to socially distance properly. I don't know how well people are doing with that whenever you get together in a small group setting or a larger group setting, how effectively you can do that, really, especially if there's eating involved.
Mhm.
But yeah, I've had to make some tough choices. I've seen very few people, and we did a gift exchange. We've been doing gift exchanges so that you basically only have to buy one gift versus buying smaller, less expensive items for everyone, which I think has many, many added benefits and values. But doing a gift exchange unboxing video, if you will, online
Wow,
versus in person, certainly is kind of apropos, I guess, given all that's happening, and keeping that social distance.
that's
But
cool.
yeah, I mean, it's not certainly the best way to celebrate, but I think it's better than nothing. I think having the ability to do online video chat, it at least makes it better than just a phone call.
Oh wow! So was it a Secret Santa kind of thing, Rico? That's a nice one, where you're kind of
Yeah.
surprised about which relative
So
got you what.
yeah, you basically set a budget of what you want to pay per person, so $40 or $50 or more, depending on your family situation, and you basically draw a name, and then we have about 8 people on one side of the family and about 10 on the other side, and so you get a name, and you can even set it so that the name that you draw isn't going to be like your partner or somebody in your immediate household, to make it a little bit more interesting.
Oh, that's cool.
And then you can you can create a wish list online, and the person who draws your name can either, honor your list or get you something different, right? There's no real hard rules, hard and fast rules. It's more just like a way to offset the stress of the expense of having to buy multiple gifts and just focusing on one person and a nicer gift versus many gifts that are of lesser value.
I love that, Rico. I'll have to remember that next time. To be honest, I was a little lazy and just got everybody gift certificates from local stores that needed a little bit of help from a local website. That
And there's nothing wrong with
yeah.
that. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that, if you can ever, whenever you can support local mom and pop small businesses, that's the heart, and soul of our economy here in the United States. And I'm sure maybe even in Europe and Germany as well. You've got to support people who have had long-standing businesses. And I think rather than just giving our money to large corporations, the Amazons of the world, if you will, I think it's okay to support those smaller companies too. So that's good
Yeah,
to hear.
yeah, that's a good point, Rico. Yeah, I have to give a shout out to Locale Matador DE or localematador.de. They were a great help in picking local shops in Freiburg that would be nice for my family and friends to go to shop at, knowing that I wouldn't be able to see them all in person. So that was a great help, and I appreciate that there was a little bit of an entrepreneurial spirit behind that website to connect to all these small businesses and get them onto one page to make it easier for uh, lazy shoppers like me.
That's the advent of technology, right? There's always some positives that come out of things in a way. So, allowing people who are late to getting their gifts, as well as people who want to support certain types of establishments. And I think that's the fun part in learning about what's happening in different places, right? And I think that what I've learned during this pandemic is that, unfortunately in this country, the wealth distribution has only gotten worse. And so I think it just really gives me a lot of pause to continue to support larger companies just because it's faster and cheaper.
Mm.
What are the adverse effects of that, right? How can we, have a little bit more, uh, equality in society? I think it's about, supporting smaller businesses wherever possible, even if that means paying just a little bit more or having to wait a little bit longer to get your goods. I think that's okay.
Oh, good point, Rico. I guess now I'd like to kind of move on to our new segment. What's life really like? Um, what life's like comparing, how things are where I am in Germany and to where Rico is in Colorado, and something came up. Um, the school year was cut short in Germany in a very abrupt way to make sure that the lockdown was made into something that was really, really a closing of all social contact or as much social contact as possible, even for the young people, for kids and so on, and how hard that would be for them. And I wanted to ask you, Rico, did that also occur for you, for the folks in the U.S., or at least particularly where you are in Colorado and Denver? Did they shut the schools down
Yeah.
early as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, in the United States, the real challenge, of course, is that everything is done on a local level, right? So whether it's on the state level or the municipal level, school district level, what's happening in one state or one city can differ vastly from another city or state or a district. And in working in the field of education and training teachers, I've seen a wide range of things. But yeah, it's definitely upended schools in a wide variety of ways. I know some schools have closed early or just gone to completely online learning. Others, depending upon which state you're in and the political persuasion of those states, might have more in-person options. But yeah, it's definitely been something that's really impacted students. I feel really bad for a lot of students, especially, because these two academic years that are straddling the pandemic, I think they're going to have long lasting effects that are going to go well beyond this pandemic. And unfortunately, I think many of those effects will be negative on, I think, students and teachers alike. But that's something that's definitely happened here in the US.
Wow, that's a tough situation in my mind when you think about the long-term effects. Those things are not easy to measure, and we won't be able to really see the damage that was done, as you said, for a long, long time. But we have a lot of talented teachers, and I'm sure they've done their best to keep the students at least motivated and prepared. And I'm hoping
Oh
that
yeah,
that will lead to a positive outcome. Yes.
well, I think that's just it. I think that whenever there's a crisis, there's an opportunity for
Mhm.
growth, for new development of tools and strategies to handle the challenges. And I think that clearly there's a need for better online learning technologies. Even at my own company where I work, I think we see that there's a need to roll out more ways to engage students who are not physically present in schools. And so, it's easy to kind of like knock what's happening and, saying school districts aren't prepared, schools aren't prepared. But to your point, I think teachers have done really well given the situation that they were presented with. I think, a lot has been made of these frontline workers, of course, putting themselves at risk every day, nurses and doctors and other healthcare providers, but I think teachers themselves as well, in many ways, are kind of like those, frontline workers dealing with a lot of the younger children who are in many cases have been in school and haven't had their classes interrupted in the same way the older students have. But don't want to get too negative here. I think that just the real impact is just that the pandemic has had some real key differences, right, on the way things normally would be compared to how they are now.
Yeah, and when I think about it, one of the most influential um, people of this year is a teenager herself, right? Greta Thunberg, right? And she's the one who's been recommending that kids go on strike from school to be able to make others aware of the global crisis that we're going through when it comes to climate change, right? But that kind of leadership, you don't see from many teenagers if it's not for her great teachers who probably influenced her to think in that way and to think about the global consequences of your actions, right? Yeah, and I think like you said, there's a lot of hope there that um, in spite of this crisis that was created, okay, maybe by our own doing, by encroaching on natural habitats that should never be touched, that we have great educators that will help these young people make it through. And that's my way to segueing to our experts corner. And I guess I will let us move on to the experts corner right at this point. Okay.
Yeah, looking forward to our next expert. So we hope you enjoy the interview.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, welcome back to our Experts Corner, where we interview experts from around the world. And today, I have the pleasure of introducing Neha Basnet, and she holds a Master in Development Studies with a specialization in Human Rights from International Institute of Social Studies, ISS, of Erasmus University, Rotterdam. She has worked with youth and youth-based organizations for many years, building young people's capacities for effective leadership and participation. After her master's studies, she worked as a part-time tutor in the International Center for Academics and as a freelance research consultant in Nepal and in the Netherlands. She also worked as a lecturer at Kathmandu University of Social Sciences. Currently, she is pursuing her PhD in youth studies at the University of Groningen. I think it's pronounced Groningen in Dutch, I believe. Along with that, she provides 2 specific educational courses on research methodology and monitoring and evaluation. How are you doing today, Neha?
I'm good. Thank you so much, Rico.
Yeah, you're very welcome. We're happy to have you today, and we're just going to jump right into questions if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm just curious, how many languages do you speak?
I speak, my mother tongue, Nepali, and then English. Oh, and then I also have fair knowledge of French. Then I also know Hindi, Urdu, that is spoken in India.
Ooh,
And
okay.
also in Pakistan. Yeah.
Very impressive. We always like to ask, just because as this podcast has a focus on language, it's always nice to know
Right.
Our guests' linguistic ability. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, it's quite impressive, Neha.
Thank you so much.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I'm also curious, living in the Netherlands, do you have to always switch, or do you only speak English um, in the Netherlands, or are you learning Dutch as well?
For me, I really didn't have to learn Dutch, but I'm planning to in future if I'm planning to stay here and work here. Trying to learn the language is important to understand people and their culture. So yeah, but so far I only speak English, and everybody here only speak English.
Understood.
And so, in your bio, I mentioned that you provide two specific educational courses on research methodology and monitoring and evaluation. And so, I was just curious, what can students expect from these two courses?
Okay, so from the first course, that is the research methodology, I'm trying to provide a basic course on qualitative and quantitative approaches. So these course, this one is basically to learn how to use different methods in research design and what kind of sampling do we need, population, data analysis techniques, and how to analyze those data from two different approaches. And I will also explain what kind of research approaches would be better for the questions and the research design they have.
Okay.
So, yes, it's basically about that. And monitoring and evaluation is a very specialized course where an individual, either professionals or students, still could learn about how to use the monitoring and evaluation technique to evaluate and assess different programs and projects that are being implemented by organizations. For example, UN or UNHCR, they have different programs, interventions that are being implemented on different countries. And at the end of their programs, they always try to evaluate the impact of those programs and interventions. So monitoring and evaluation is specifically for those people who are interested in working with the different organizations and try to gain the skills of trying to know the impact of and evaluate the interventions and programs. So it's a bit different. Of course, the basic is qualitative and quantitative approaches, but then the way that monitoring and evaluation works is a bit different than what we learn with the basic qualitative and quantitative approaches.
Oh, interesting. And so then, with monitoring and evaluation specifically, what you kind of already outlined what students can take away from it. Is there anything like really specific in terms of what you think will be a goal for them when they come out of the course that they should be able to do based on that course?
Yes, with the first course, they would be able to analyze what kind of research approaches or technique they will require for a specific set of questionnaires or research questions. And with the monitoring and evaluation, it's basically to provide people with skills to become a monitoring and evaluation officer or become a consultant, where you provide those services to different organizations independently. Yeah.
And so, you've touched on, of course, your background and things of that nature, but, where can students implement these learned skills? You mentioned they could be consultants and working with organizations, but is there a specific type of industry, perhaps, or the industry that you find that these students would probably most likely find work in?
Yes, with the basic course, with the quant and qual approaches, you can work in various sectors, different organizations. They require people with those kind of skills where you have a background with data and working with data. And big data is a thing these days. So this basic knowledge will be very much, how do you say, it's valuable, or it will add upon to what they will learn in future. And also, it's not only for people who are still studying or who are still at the universities. It could
Okay.
be also for professionals who have only qualitative background and they want to learn quant, the basic principles of quantitative approach, which might provide them some additional skills in their work and build up their career in whichever sectors they are in. It could be in industry or also in organizations. You can apply those skills anywhere.
So it sounds like, it's pretty broad in regards to where one might want to work. It's really about the skills that you gain, and then you can try to find that match of maybe your own personal interests professionally, things of that nature. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's interesting for me to think about the difference between what you're providing and other providers. Is there anything specific that you feel like you bring? I mean, every teacher brings something that's unique, to the courses that they teach. But is there something that you particularly want to speak about that is special about the course? That in comparison to others.
Well, in comparison to others, I think with me, they will be also able to learn how to use softwares, for example, Atlas TI. That is what I know so far,
Yeah.
and also SPSS if they want to learn further and also analyze their data with those softwares. So that is an additional advantage, which other courses do not provide you until you are in their course enroll full time, or you ask them to provide specific course on that, how to use those software. Yeah.
Okay.
And
That's a huge plus. Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
I just had a follow-up question. Well, not really follow-up, but just out of curiosity. You're pursuing your PhD in youth studies. Is
Right.
there a particular facet within that you were particularly interested in?
Well, I grew up in a conflict-prone area, so my childhood and my let's say youthhood, I would say. So I have seen a lot of conflict and a lot of young people being used for those wars and atrocities, but those were mainly for political interest. There was nothing for the young people, and their future was really, really dark. So it always motivated me because I can say that I'm from a privileged background. I got the opportunity to go to a school that again private school, English boarding school, but not everyone in Nepal got the opportunity to do that. And I was always interested and looking forward to something that I can help them with. So I work mainly on youth-based organization, youth-led organization, trying to encourage youth and motivate youth to understand them and look for opportunities how to help them. So that's how I built up my career in youth-based work, and I have experiences in that. Then while studying, like when I was in my master, I also developed an interest to do a PhD because I understand that, okay, you can work as a youth-led organization or program officer in different organization, but then you really don't get the opportunity to voice out your opinions and take actions, right? So I thought, okay, maybe I should do something where I'll be able to influence the policymakers. So that's how my interest in PhD, specifically in youth studies, grew.
That's
So that's
very
how.
Yeah, that's very nice. So you're really trying to make a difference for the future of,
Right.
and that's part of your project, readconsultants.com, right?
Right.
Where others can find more information about the work that you're doing in terms of helping the youth of Nepal, but
But also globally. I mean,
globally. Yeah.
it's not specifically for Nepal. Of course, I am from Nepal, and it's very obvious that I have worked and have experience in Nepalese context.
Yep.
But since I have been working with global human rights defense, I have got the opportunity to work with people from different countries.
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
And yeah, so it's not only for Nepalese, of course,
Yeah.
youth globally.
Okay. Very nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Rico, is there anything else we want to cover with Neha before we close our experts corner for
I would
today?
say it was really nice to meet you, and of course learn about your work. And I am very much a big believer of working with the youth and empowering them and convincing them to believe in themselves and to educate themselves for a better future. Obviously, many of us are born with more opportunity than others, but I just really value the work that you're doing, and it's been a pleasure interviewing you today. So thank you for
Thank
coming
you
on
so
today.
much. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to interview with you and
Yeah.
look forward to our work together.
Yeah, yes, yes. Learneezee is looking forward to partnering with you, Neha, and yeah, it'll be a great opportunity for all of us to promote the work that you're doing because I think yeah, we need more people like you, of course.
Thank you. Thank
Okay,
you so much.
okay, great.
Thank you so much, Neha.
Okay, bye. Good day.
Bye bye.
Okay, that was our experts corner. Rico, uh, how did you like that interview with Neha Basnet, uh,
Yeah, I think. Well,
our
I
new?
always love interviewing people. Yeah, I
Yep.
always love interviewing people who are from different countries. Obviously, her own background is very interesting. She faced quite a few challenges in her home country, and I
Mhm.
think that's led her, of course, to working with youth. And I think just kind of bringing it full circle about the challenge that we've all been faced with during the pandemic, right?
Mhm.
Regardless of where you come from, who you are, we've all been impacted by this pandemic. And it's really nice to see people doing really great work and just showing that whenever there's a crisis, whenever there's a challenge, we can rise to the challenge and still have a lot of success. I really enjoyed that interview quite a bit.
Oh,
How
that's
about you,
great.
Pat?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. For me as well, it was a very informative conversation, and I'm looking forward to partnering with her on her research methodologies, as well as monitoring and evaluation courses. Yeah, hopefully you'll see those courses come up on Learneezee in the next couple of weeks. Hopefully not. It won't take too long for us to set up those courses. And please visit Neha's website, readconsultant.com. So that's read-consultant.com to get more information about her work and her work with youth in Nepal and all over the world, to be honest. Yeah. And I think
Yeah.
that's it for us. So please keep learning easy. And Rico, I'll see you next time, huh?
See you next time, Pat.
And now a couple of Learneezee cast outtakes or record. All right, we're recording. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Welcome to another
All right.
Learneezee cast.
Sorry, Pat,
Yeah.
stop. Sorry, man. I had to clear my throat, man. So I don't want that to be
Okay. Okay. All right. It's all good. It's okay. Let's get all the burps out. Okay. All right. Recording. Okay. I stopped it. Did I? All right. Did I stop it in time? I'm
no.
still.